All right, guys, welcome back to Brown Balls Podcast. We are on week 8. I have my best bud here, Kenil. How's it going, brother?
Yo, man, good. Can't wait. A lot of things happening.
Dude, yes, man. We had a crazy, crazy weekend of football. We got the playoffs for the baseball just around the corner, and we got the Lakers preseason. So we got preseason NBA happening. This is again the best time of the year. We got all these amazing sports starting. But I do want to get to the top story for tonight, which
Yes.
is Monday Night Football. We had two not so great games. I mean, I think one was a good game. The other one was like whatever, and I think most
Yep.
people didn't really care about it, which was the Titans against the Dolphins. Excuse me. Will Levis did go out with an injury,
Shoulder.
and probably for the better. What do you think?
Yeah, man. I mean, whoever thought, Mason Rudolph would be a lifesaver for Tennessee Titans,
Pittsburgh
But
did.
man, that game was so I don't know, ugly to watch, man.
Yeah,
Like nobody can run, throw, or anything, man. So and Dolphins obviously missing Tua, right? So their offense is not
yeah.
going to be what their juggernaut offense is supposed to be. So, gosh, man, that was ugly watch, ugly to see. To be honest with you, man.
Yeah, it was. I pretty much clicked away. I think the Lions Seahawks game was much better. It was a very high powered offense. You just feel like the Seahawks score. Okay, they're within one score. Then the Lions come right back with a huge play. That was a much better game overall. I think the only undefeated teams right now, after now that the Seahawks lost, are the Vikings and the Chiefs.
Oh,
But the Lions had this was the game they needed to win. I think they needed to take control of their division. And they're not yet because the Vikings are 4-0, but
yeah,
they needed to be in the race because you have the Packers coming off of a loss, and you
yeah.
also have the Bears actually winning against your Rams. But I think the Lions really did need this win, and Jared Goff, I mean, just freaking went
18
nuts in
for
this game.
18, man. The ball
Yeah.
did not touch the grass at all in this game for him, man. It was perfect.
Back-to-back game with perfect completions.
Man,
Back-to-back game for I
and,
think first
and
quarterback in a while.
I think this might be his first touchdown.
Yeah,
I don't remember a
yeah,
touchdown by him, but so it might be your first ever. So, man, this
yeah,
game was good actually. Back and
yeah,
forth, back and forth, back and forth. Obviously, it always seemed like the Lions had control of the game, but it
yeah,
was just that Seattle was also, playing competitively too at the same time. They're making big plays after big plays,
yep,
right? And then in the like late stages of third and early stage of fourth, I think like Lions just pulled away because
yeah,
they had a couple of defensive key stops. And
yeah,
in Seattle, which Smith couldn't convert, one of the fourth down plays they couldn't convert that, and
yeah,
and then they got penalty of a pass interference, which could have been a first down. They went on a fourth down, but it
yeah,
got called back for a pass interference. So they had to punt it away, and after that, Jerry Goff went down the field and scored. And so
yeah.
the game was over after that. So, but it was a good game. I mean, it was undefeated 4-0. For NFC West. I mean, but it was good. But Lions are like you said, man. They're taking control. They're trying to regain the control.
Right.
Minnesota will
Who
lose.
who would have thought?
Minnesota will lose soon.
Yeah,
But I think once they lose, it'll be a domino effect. I think for them.
yeah, yeah,
It's like that good team that starts off really well, and
yeah,
then they finally lose, and then they might come back to earth. So
yeah,
yeah, the Lions will be fine.
yeah. I think the Seahawks needed to come back to earth. I think the Vikings will eventually as well. But yeah, I think the Lions, at least for me, they are the better team on paper for that division, and they kind of had to go out there and prove it with this game. Jared Goff had to do the Philly special. Once they ran the Philly special and they got it, I was like, you know what? They're just toying with them at this point.
Yeah,
Just call it a game. Like
yeah,
they're like, we could just do whatever we want. I
yeah.
mean, you have Amon St. Ra throwing a touchdown to Jared Goff, which is like it was the ugliest throw ever. And then Jared Goff, I mean, it's so athletic, so unathletically caught it too. But you just know, like, yeah, when you're at that point, you're like, we got this game. This is no big deal.
And like the thing is, everybody was clicking, man. Like
Yeah,
Amon St. Ross, Williams, the other receiver, and then you got Jamar Gibbs, and then you have Montgomery. Like the running backs, right? They're all clicking, man,
yeah,
at the same time, right? And then you give
yep,
Jared Goff that kind of weapons, he's gonna mess with you. I mean, he's
yeah,
proven. When you give him good weapons, players to play with, he will play well. So which is
yeah.
which he's doing right now in Detroit. So. But the game was good, man. The game was good,
Yeah.
and it was close. But then Detroit just took it away in the fourth. It was game over.
Yeah, yeah. So again, I think as far as compared to last week's Monday Night Football, this week's Monday Night Football was entertaining. At least one of the games was.
Yeah,
But I think we all kind of expected the Lions to win that game, honestly. And then honestly, Miami once Tua is out, they're like a shell of themselves, and I don't see them
I
being
don't get it
competitive
why
in
they
their
don't sign
division.
a QB out there though, man. I just don't understand why.
They can get Tannehill.
Why? Why there are pretty good QBs out there, man. They can
Yeah,
go
yeah.
or even make a trade for another team's backup QB who can actually like for example, like, Cleveland has like Jim and Winston, right? Who's not even playing, right?
Hmm.
Because they're playing Watson obviously. So why not just go and make a trade for him and bring him? He'll be perfect fit for that team, right now. You know what they need, like I
Do,
don't get
do,
it.
do you know one name that's being tossed around?
Which one?
Have you heard this one?
No.
Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford going to the to the they're saying, you know what? They're not competitive.
Hey,
They're injury
I
ridden.
think I saw that 3-team trade that you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah. There's that happening. Maybe they're trying to do that. Maybe trying to get Matthew
It'll be too
Stafford.
late. It'll be too late. Like we're 4 weeks into this, man, and they're 1-3 now. You can't fall down
Yeah,
like
but
that.
the Bills could. I mean, the Jets aren't. I mean, we'll talk about the Jets in a little bit, but the Jets are not that good,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
they have a chance to catch up. The Patriots suck,
You can't wait any
and
longer.
and the Bill will probably win it. But if you want, they can probably go for a wild card at least
You
if
can't.
they get it decent enough because they are in a win now mode. That Miami is with the receivers that they have. A defense that they
Yeah,
have a good coach. They might as well kind of go all in and just, you know what? Let's just throw Matthew Stafford into
that's
the hat.
perfect.
Because Tua is not, I mean, he's a little iffy whether or not if he'll come back, and I don't even know if he wants to come back.
Yeah,
I wouldn't put my all my eggs in the basket and say
yeah.
Tua's gonna come back and be good as ever. He might be a little more cautious. So I would just say, you know what? Let's just go Hail Mary. Let's bring Matthew Stafford in. Let's try to win this year. And you never know, that could be the thing. Because again, the Rams are not going anywhere either.
The Rams. This is man. I mean, I'll be.
It sucks for you because they were so good, and I used to make fun of you all these years when they were in St. Louis, and then now they were good for a very long time. Now that they suck, it's like deja vu again all of a sudden. I
I
get
don't
to
remember
just
this, man.
continue crap on the Rams.
I don't remember Rams being this sorry now. I mean, like Chicago, man. Look. Honestly, this is the game that we should have won, right? Okay, look. Rams coming into it are not faring in many weeks. Like many games,
Hmm.
like week to week basis, we're not faring, right? Like for the
Yeah.
first I want to say first 3 weeks, against the Lions, we were not favored. Then we played Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals were favored by 3 points. We were not favored on that one either.
Hmm.
Against the Niners, we were not favored, but we won that game. But Chicago,
Hmm.
man, I felt like we were kind of favored by a field goal here. We had but we didn't come up, man. I mean, um,
Hey,
Caleb,
you wanted Caleb Williams to be great, and then he ended up
not just my
becoming
team,
he was good against
not,
the one team that
not my
you wouldn't want him to be good.
gosh.
Oh man. That was an interesting game, but let's get to one of the games that I wanted to talk about from this weekend was obviously again I don't want to sound like a Philly hater, and it's not that I don't like Philly. I don't like it's not the Eagles I don't like. I just don't like the coach. And Philly had a really I would say bad loss against the Buccaneers. They looked completely outclassed. Like it wasn't even close. The Buccaneers were kind of like how the Lions were this today. They looked like they can get whatever they want against the Eagles defense. The Eagles offense was shaky. Jalen Hurts did not make some good throws. And Sirianni, of course, is inconsistent as always. And there's a lot of talk around Sirianni versus Jalen Hurts because Jalen Hurts is saying that we sometimes are a team that knows our identity. That was kind of a really big shade against Sirianni. What are your thoughts, man? I think this was one of the biggest talks from this weekend was just the dysfunction between Sirianni and Hurts, and maybe just the whole.
Yeah, man. Like I said, right? If this was any other team, okay. See, Eagles are like the Niners, right? You can't complain losing because they're so fully loaded. Even though you don't have your
Yes,
first or second receiver, like for example, like Rams, as a Rams fan, I can complain we don't have our offense squad out there, right?
right,
Like
right,
Puka's not playing and Cooper Cup's not playing, right? So
right.
overall of our game is pretty bad now, right? But for a couple of teams, you can't really say that. Like, Niners one of them, and Eagles are definitely one of them, right? They're fully loaded.
Yeah.
So yes, Tampa Bay is a good team. They got Godwin, they got Mike Evans, they got Baker Mayfield throwing well, right? But they're not a juggernaut, NFC team where oh my god they're good, right? And
Yeah,
compared to Eagles, they have depth, right? They have Saquon.
right.
They have really good tight end, who can actually catch and make scores, and make
Goddard.
play actions. Yeah. So for Jalen Hurts to come out and say that we sometimes we don't know our identity.
Right.
Well, I mean, come on, man. You're the captain of the team. I mean, um, your identity is kind of like throw the ball. If not open, you can run with the ball because you're running QB, and you have Saquon Barkley
Right.
as your backmate. So there is no excuse of
Yeah.
saying that we don't know our identity. I mean, the president went out and got the best squad they can to put around you, right? I mean, you might not have your top two receivers, but your other receivers are good, and your running back Saquon is good too. So there is no excuse like losing to Buccaneers, but getting whooped
Right.
by Buccaneers, you
Yeah.
can't do that. You can't be losing 33-16 and never be in the game, right? I understand if it was a
Yeah.
close game, came down to a field goal, and they lost. That's fine. It
Yeah.
happens, right? But sometimes the ball doesn't turn your way or it doesn't bounce your way either, right? That happens. You lose by a field goal, but you're getting outmatched by Buccaneers, and
Yeah.
I think this was in Philadelphia. I think if I'm not mistaken.
No,
So
this was in Tampa.
it was in Tampa. Okay, fine. It was in Tampa.
Yeah.
So, but still,
Yeah.
man, that should make a difference. But
Yeah.
this game was never close, and it comes
It
down
wasn't.
to coaching, right?
Yeah.
X's and O's.
I agree. And that's with this with Sirianni that I always kind of find annoying because even that one loss he had where Saquon dropped the ball, he just kind of like he didn't even address the team afterwards. It was a tough loss. He didn't
No,
even go to the team afterwards and said, "Hey," he just kind of went to his thing and let Jalen Hurts kind of take over as a captain. Which again, you want to hear from the coach there, right? Like you want to coach this team. He doesn't call any offensive plays. He didn't call any defense plays. So what does he do? He's supposed to rile up the team, right? He's supposed to coach and mentor and say like, hey, we're gonna win this game. Here's how we're gonna do it. Like, have a plan, have everyone accountable. Like Jalen Hurts did not play well, right? Like,
yeah,
so for him to say all these things also doesn't look good on his part because he had, two fumbles, one that was lost. He had 6 sacks. So like he didn't have a good game himself. So like the fact that he's coming out kind of throwing his own, coach under the bus is also not a good look for him. But
yeah,
I always say like the biggest thing that gets in Philly's way is your coach. The
yes,
fact that he doesn't take any responsibility for anything that happens around him.
yeah,
And then but then when they win, he's like, oh look at us, we're the best in the world. Like I just that's one thing that I can't stand about him. Again, I don't. I think Philly themselves. I like Saquon Barkley. He's the only reason why they're even 2-2 is because of him. If he was not there, they would be 0-4 at this point. Like
well,
they would be the worst in that division because they would without him they're nothing literally like at this point, and which is saying a lot because they already had a good team and they added a superstar to it, and that superstar is literally carrying them in a 2-2 where they're just
this
mid.
this could have easily been a 1-3 team, right? I mean, Packers could have beat
Yeah,
Brazil, and
yeah,
Packers were right there to win that game as well. And the Saquon had a really good game. I think it was the third week. I think that after they lost the second game, the third week that Saquon went off or something. And so they won that game because of him. But again, man, like the way okay, see, this is the reason why I don't think Eagles will even like be contender in the NFC is because games like this, right? When your star receivers are out,
right,
your team's supposed to come together, right?
yeah,
Play as a one unit, right? And kind of have each other's back and go to Tampa and win this type of game, right? I mean, you
yeah,
would think that Tampa would have been a little bit like, oh, okay, they don't have Smith and they don't have the other receiver, of course, so they'll take a
right,
hey it'll be easy matchup, but Tampa came to play, and
yeah,
Billy is the one that was like, okay, we don't have our guys, so hey, let's mail it in, right? So I mean,
yeah,
there was no type of energy, there was no type of anything where they can they can compete, and like just
yeah,
game not being close at all from the beginning to the end. I don't know what
yeah.
to say, man. This is coming. This is people are saying that Sirianni could be gone in the mid season, and I'm like, that's a little too early.
He
I don't
should
think
be.
that's gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. I think he'll be gone end of the year, but they're not gonna make a coaching change for sure.
I mean, they made a defensive coordinator. Could defend. They made a offensive defensive coordinator change last year, middle of the season. Why can't they get rid of the head coach at this point? Honestly,
Too much heavily, like heavily waving on them in the fact that this team is ready to win now. And if they have that coaching change, what coach can they really bring in, right? Who's out there that except for Belichick. I understand Belichick is out there.
Yes.
He's out there, but besides Belichick, I mean, but
Belichick is perfect for this team.
you
He's
know, Belichick,
perfect for this team.
Belichick could be perfect for a lot of teams, to be honest.
No, no, but for this specific team, with a quarterback who's humble, who can be coached like Jalen Hurts, with star receivers who are also humble and hungry like AJ Brown, and then they also have Saquon Barkley, who's also willing to be coached. Like this is and obviously their defense is not necessarily they have a good defensive coordinator, but the defense is not very disciplined. And with someone like a Belichick who can hold accountable these other pieces around him,
Yes.
like this team could be amazing if they had someone like Belichick. Belichick wouldn't fit anywhere. Like don't get me wrong. I know Belichick is a great coach, but there's some teams that he just may not be good for
Yeah,
because there's not a lot of teams that are win now, or they don't have
exactly.
a lot of quarterbacks or teams that are coachable. Like I don't think him and Aaron Rodgers would do well,
Oh
honestly.
no.
Like um, but with Philly, this is a good situation for him. And that's why I was telling one of our friends. I'm like, before I see it, I'm like, if they got Belichick, this would be my pick for the Super Bowl
Oh man.
because that's exactly what they're hoping for. Or the Cowboys could also use him too.
Exactly.
But
That's what I'm
nonetheless,
saying.
I think these two teams they need a coach like Belichick. Belichick may not ever go to the Cowboys because Jerry Jones will never get up the spotlight. Because Belichick would want to become a GM as
I
well.
don't know, man. Maybe
Um,
Johnson over again,
no,
bro.
no, I don't know if Jerry Jones will ever give that up, honestly. But I think he would be a good coach for the Eagles no matter what. So if I was Philly and I'm taking this season very seriously and seeing how Sirianni is making some of these calls and making some of these decisions, I would really consider potentially changing it over.
Hey man, honestly, if Philly did make a coaching change in the midway of the season, man, I'll be so shocked right now because
They have to.
that's not anyone. That's not something some people predicted that would happen, right? So you're
Yeah,
only gone in the midseason, so it'll be hard to see that, man. But again, like you
yeah,
said, the quarter of the season is gone, and they're 2-2 right now. If the next
yeah.
quarter is also 2-2, then I can see that because you can't win one and lose one, win one and lose one. You can't do that in the NFL. You've got to be,
No.
winning
And
most of your
and
games.
and you had Jaden McDaniel looking like the best QB in the division right now. Like what's up with that? Like you and I remember preseason we joked that Commanders are going to be a joke. They're not going to be anything, and they're leading the division right now.
That's
And
crazy.
that QB is tearing it up. He
That's
looks
crazy,
like the
isn't it?
best QB. He
Isn't that
looks
crazy?
better than Prescott. Looks better than Hurts. Like he's just on a roar, and it's amazing to see, and I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
But no one ever expected it when you have the Commanders being the number one team in that division.
Who ever thought that Washington
That was
in
not in
this
my bingo card.
division with Cowboys and Philly,
Yeah,
Washington
with a
would be
loaded
leading the
Philly team,
division right now, man? Like
Yeah,
whoever thought that, man? I don't know, man. This is insane. I mean, but that's good for them, you know. I mean, Commanders
yeah,
actually
no,
got the guy they needed and wanted, and a franchise QB. So, but yeah, man. I don't know what's gonna happen with Philly, man. They remind me of like the Lakers. Everyone's just
yeah,
talking about them. There's something going on with them. There's all this drama built around them, you know. So let's see how they play next week. I mean,
yeah.
it'll be
Let's
interesting,
see.
you know.
Let's see. All right. So next game we have, let's go through the Ravens are back 2-2. They beat the high-powered Bills. That was not even close. The Bills did not even look close to what they need to look at. I don't know if that's because the Ravens just completely exposed them, but the Ravens look like, I mean, people are saying they're the best team in the league at 2-2. I'm kind of holding off on that, but they look like what I expected them to be looking like because they were one of they're my Super Bowl picks, and I thought they're going to be, and they're fine looking the way they need to be looking. And yeah, that was a crazy game. I thought it'd be a lot closer. I thought it'd be the
It
game of the
wasn't.
week,
It
but that was not
wasn't.
even that
It
close.
wasn't close at all, man.
Yeah,
And you're talking about an undefeated Buffalo Bills team who's
yeah,
2-0. So
yep,
it wasn't a close game. Ravens just blitzed them. I was like,
yeah,
it was a Sunday nighter. I was like, oh, wow. But again, like when you picked your Ravens to potentially come out from AFC, it wasn't a bad pick because man, they're fully loaded. I mean, that King Henry,
yeah,
Lamar, right? I mean, the only question mark they had was they don't have that elite. lethal weapon in the receiving game, right? I mean, they have
Yep.
Likely and they have Flowers and they have Mark Andrews, right? But none of them are consistent, right?
Yeah.
So that's the only question mark I had, right? But now looking back right now, even though Chiefs are 4-0, they
Hmm.
potentially are out of their best receiver, Rashid
Hmm.
Rice or Reese, right?
Injured. Yeah.
Yeah,
Rasheed Rice. Yeah.
he's out, and they're saying that
Yeah.
he could be out for the year.
Torn ACL.
Yeah, okay, yeah. See, he could be out for. He's probably out for the year. So this is gonna be the biggest test for Mahomes because
Yeah.
Kelsey is not playing Kelsey football at all, man.
Right.
He's not himself.
They can't hide him anymore. They've been trying to use him as a decoy, but they really will need to rely on him now.
And like Hollywood Brown for them is out for the year too.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, I feel like Chiefs will probably make some type of trade to bring in like
You think
another
so?
threat because like they need it. I mean,
Yeah.
luckily they still have Worthy, right? Their rookie, he's
Hmm.
pretty good, so he's gonna be getting picked up in the waiver wire for sure now. For all the fantasy people out there, but Kelsey needs to step up, man. I mean, he needs to start
Yeah.
playing. I mean, last week they said that I think Mahomes like, well, he is one of my options, but the thing is, the teams are taking that away because they're double and triple teaming him, right? So they can't
Hmm.
really get him the ball, so they're getting other people open, obviously. So let's see now, Kelsey. Um, even though you're getting double team, I mean that's what makes you a superstar tight end. That you still catch the
Yeah.
ball, you still get open. So it's gonna be interesting. But I do think Baltimore, man, even 2-2, they look dangerous, man. Super
Yeah.
dangerous right now, to be honest.
Yeah, and honestly, their next few games, if they prefer, if they play like how they played, yesterday, and Derrick Henry's running for 199 yards, crazy. Their next few games, they easily can have a good string of winning because they're playing the Bengals, Commanders, Buccaneers, Browns, Broncos, Bengals, Steelers. Like I think they can win all those games. If they play the way they have, I think they finally found their identity. I think they're finally able to utilize Derrick Henry how he needs to be utilized. He's not the power back that he once was. He's still got a good speed, but I think they're finally utilizing his presence as they need to. So if they continue, they potentially could have a good string of winning games, and they could be looking at a very strong record overall in the next few games. So I'm excited for them, man. I again, my pick, they looked really rough. I'm like, oh my God, like, what was I thinking? But I was like,
Going
they
two,
have to be
right?
better than that. I mean, Lamar Jackson had to be better
Yeah,
than that. So it's kind of a relief for me because I did kind of put all my chips in that basket,
you did.
Ravens
Because
basket.
they started off 0-2, and that's difficult. And the road wasn't
Yeah.
easy because they're gonna face Cowboys and Bills back to back, and they proved
Yep.
it that even though they started 0-2, I mean that was difficult, man. Being 0-2, and then you're gonna face Cowboys team who's still good, and then also the Bills
Hmm.
team who has Josh Allen. They're almost good, and so but they beat both of them.
Yep.
And the thing is, both of those teams, it wasn't close. So that's the scary
Yeah.
part. It was like they're clicking. Like it wasn't close at all. They blitzed
Yep.
Cowboys last week and they blitzed, Bills. I was just shocked. I was
Yeah.
like, what the hell just happened? Like it's
Yeah.
not even a
They look
close
pretty
at
pretty
all.
dominant, honestly. So
That says a
let's
lot,
see. Let's
man.
see. Yeah. Yeah. 'Cause I still think the Bills are really good. I think they're gonna win that division. I think they
No,
probably
they
will
will. They
get
will.
really far in the playoffs. But speaking of the another team in that division for the Bills, the Jets,
Oh my
they
god.
lost an ugly, ugly game to the
Oh
Broncos.
my gosh.
Um, they had five false start penalty, which was a topic conversation because Aaron Rodgers and Salah had a disagreement on it. I don't know if you saw the post game, but Salah pretty much said we have to make sure that our quarterback and the cadence is being worked on, and Aaron Rodgers was like, "Well, if we hold people accountable, because the cadence is the weapon, like that's the one thing that Aaron Rodgers is like known for is his cadence. Like he gets so many false starts. I mean, he gets so many offsides because of that. And now that he's getting a lot of false starts because his O line is not, accountable. They're not listening and they're not following the cadence that he's expecting them to, and it's frustrating him. So there's a lot of back and forth, and I've never been the biggest Aaron Rodgers fan. Even when he was in Green Bay, I think he's a drama queen. I think he's all about himself. But in
Yeah.
this situation, I do think like if you're gonna have and don't get me wrong, he is a great player. He's one of the best players, like best quarterbacks to play the game. But when you have him and you have his secret weapon, which is the cadence that he uses, which is a weapon that he always has in every single game. The fact that Salah's like, no, we got to change that. I think that's a bad look. I think he's another coach that should be on the hot seat as well. What do you think?
So he sometimes when you have those type of players who are good, You got to
Mhm.
utilize to their strength, not their weakness, right?
Yes.
And as a coach, right? Why would you do that? Why would you mess with that? If that is
Yeah.
his strength, doing that, and like let's not change it up. Let's play that.
Yeah.
Get the other team kind of like off their off their mojo, right? So I do
Yeah.
think Robert Saleh. I mean, he's a good young coach, but he kind of reminds me of one of those coaches that he didn't think that he'll come into this situation. He thought he was gonna have a young
Yeah.
team, that he'll have like a 3 to 4 year
Because
good
it
window
developed
and
over
kind of
time.
develop them. He didn't think that
Yeah.
year two he'll be the team will be training for Aaron Rodgers. Like
Right.
so
Yeah.
he thought that this is gonna be a young team. So and again, this is another team that the fit is not there. The coach
Right.
and the QB are not on the same page because the QB
Not
is
at all.
thinking differently, and the QB is like in the win now mode, right? I mean, like
Yep.
even the exchange they had that last week, right? When they finally won, they
Mhm.
scored their touchdown.
You went for a hug, and it's like,
He's like, not
dude,
right
get off
now,
me.
and that
It's
was
only game three.
yeah. So it's
Yeah.
like they're not on the same page. You can tell from that game, even if they won. I mean, so
Yeah.
I do think that's another, like you said, I agree with that. That's another team that you know could make a change. If
Yeah.
I can see the Jets making a change quicker than the
Then the
Philadelphia
Eagles.
Eagles. Yeah,
I can see that. I can see that.
because for Jets, man, they traded a lot for Rodgers and they paid him too.
Yeah.
And so they got to
Yeah.
make the playoffs, especially last year. Rodgers tore his Achilles, and
Yeah.
they didn't make the playoffs at all. So they need to make the playoffs. So
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to win the division by all means. They're not going to win that, but they got to make the wild card. And so if
Yeah.
this team is still hovering around 500, midway point, I can see them making a change because you know why? What's his name? He was a Broncos coach, but that's their offensive coordinator.
Often. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I forgot his name, but yeah, he got fired from Broncos. He didn't play well.
Yeah.
He didn't coach well, and Rodgers loves him. And
Yeah.
so I can see him.
That's why they brought him because they were gonna get Rodgers and Rodgers played well with him as offensive coordinator. So like, yeah, let's just bring this guy over
Exactly.
too.
So I can see him taking over. So I can see that happening.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And then there's a lot of parallels that like I saw this morning that like they said, when Brady went to Tampa and they start off, really, really poorly the first four games.
yeah,
Brady was in the sidelines, like yelling them, cussing them out, like throwing his iPad everywhere, like just going berserk. Like, what are you guys doing? We are here to win. And then this is something that I talked about with Baker Mayfield, Mayfield and all that kind of stuff too. But they said that's the kind of thing that Brady was. Like, he had to get this team straight because he's coming from a winning mentality.
yeah.
And I think Rodgers is the same way too. Like, he is a very good quarterback that's also expecting to win
Now
every single game, especially against like a team like Broncos, honestly, when you have Bo Nix out there.
I
Like
mean,
the
it's only
fact
good.
that, exactly, yeah, yeah. So like, but he goes, he's not necessarily the aggressive type like Brady is. Like Brady would go crazy and on the sideline, but Rodgers had his towel over his head. He's like, I just want to get out of here. Like this is
Yeah,
take me back home. This is the worst place to be. And he's not very confrontational. So
yeah.
the fact that, and he does use the media to kind of give out his message about how unhappy he is. I think that the Jets really will need to address that too, because
Yeah.
either they need to move on from Salah or they need to have a sit down with Brady and I mean with Rodgers and say like what can we do here to make sure that everything is good, because obviously Rodgers wants to win no matter what and he's expected to win and he wants to prove himself, especially after an Achilles. And then you have Salah who's out there like, no, we got to change something. So I think something does need to be done for sure.
And you're right, and that it's like a win now mentality, right? It's a
Exactly.
win now mentality. And the offensive coordinator I was talking about, who was the head coach, was Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah, Hackett. There
That's
you
the
go.
guy.
Yeah,
Brady.
that's
I
true.
mean, Roger loves that sort of guy, and he didn't work out with Broncos. It was like a first year coach. But again, like I said, man,
Yeah.
I can see that change happening very soon because I think the Jets are 1-3. This game they're
Hmm.
supposed to have, man. They're supposed to be 2-2, and the
They are 2-2.
difference between
They're 2-2.
are they?
The Jets are 2-2. Yeah.
I think they're one and
They
three.
remember that they had the game the what's it, the second game of the season I think they won, and then the third, which is where he tried to hug him, but they're two and
Oh,
two
you're
now.
right. Yeah, yeah. Sorry. Okay, so they're 2-2.
Yeah.
So this could have been a
Yeah.
3-1 team right now, right? Right,
Yeah.
right behind Bills. They could have been tied with Bills now, right? Now
Hmm.
you're saying that hey, can the Jets actually win the division, right?
Right. Because now they're going
It's
against
not-
they're playing against the Vikings next, and then which is undefeated, and they got the Bills after that, which is their division rival. So they needed to be 3-1 at this point.
This game against the Broncos, they should have won.
Oh, easily. especially with 10-9. I mean, come on. You have Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers by himself can get you a touchdown. So the fact that something was way
Don't
off
tell
an
me,
offensive
don't
line,
tell me Bo Nix is gonna be that good, man. You know
I know he's not exactly.
that
Oh
doesn't.
God. All right. Let's and speaking of the Vikings, 4-0, man. So, but the biggest thing is that, like you predicted, the Packers losing. Jordan Love makes his first game back, and we heard one of our Packer friends is like, "Oh, well, he's just getting back to, like he's still coming off of an injury, right? That's why." But you and I, we got a lot of heat last week because we said he's not that good. They're playing really well with Malik Willis, and that's the kind of he works well with that system. Jordan Love came back. Yes, he had 4 touchdowns, but he also had 3 picks and an ugly first half.
All right,
And yes, he had a good, but that game wasn't also not close until the very last minute. And yeah, the Vikings are again 4-0.
look, let me make this one thing clear, okay? I want to. People are, like one of our friends are calling me, Bayless, Skip Bayless, right? Kenil Bayless, right?
Yeah, can
But
you
look, let me
us?
get, let me,
Yeah,
let me, let me take one thing straight. I don't hate the Packers. I think Packers are the
right.
best fans, right?
Yeah,
Great organization. I don't hate Jordan Love either.
right.
All I'm saying is this: why give him the contract so fast when you can actually see him play this year as well? I'm not saying he's not deserving of that, 240 million, whatever he signed for. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah, he can probably still get that again. If he plays well, and he could have still got that end of the year. All I was saying was that look, Jordan Love had a good year where he started
Hmm.
off slow, bye week, and then he just took off, right? And that's
Hmm.
what they're basing it off on, and that's what they paid him with, right? And I think, he was entering his final year, so they're like, let's just sign him to a long term deal, which is fine. That's a
Right.
financial, way, the way they want to do their, signing. That's fine. If I what I was trying to say is that look, if I'm the president of the Green Bay Packers, let him have 2 straight years of like that. Let's
Yeah.
see if Jordan Love can actually win the division and go to the playoffs, or in this case make the wild card. Because last year they were a wild card or they won the division, whatever the case was. They still were able to beat Cowboys and almost beat the Niners to play the Detroit Lions in the NFC Championship. They're like
Hmm.
1 quarter away. So, but again, I'm not a Jordan hate lover. I'm glad the guy got his money. I was just saying that look,
Yeah.
Malik Willis and Jordan Love, I'm not saying they're the same players. They play very similar.
The system works for them.
Yeah, there's similarities there, right? And
Yes.
you can tell that this is more of a system type of
Yes.
run offense, right? Where like a perfect example, Malik Willis came for 2 games. Packers won both of those.
Hmm.
Or I mean, he did good. He played
Yeah.
for Tennessee last year. He didn't do that well. He played well for Green Bay. So again, Jordan Love
Hmm.
is doing the same thing. He's playing well, right? Maybe Jordan Love is a little more better. He's athletic. He can throw better. He has that connections, and he proved it this week. They started off slow, and then in the second half, he turned the switch, like he did last year. Second half of the season, he turned the switch, and boom, he ran off and was making
Yeah.
all the throws, all the pass, timely manner. He looked like the Jordan Love of the one that made the playoffs and was almost gonna beat the Niners, right? That's how
Hmm.
that football game was the tale of last year. Basically, the first half was really bad. Like they were down, like I want to say, like what was like 3-21, 3-28, whatever the case was. The game
Hmm.
was over, right? But again, I give credit to Jordan Love. He got the offense ready to go second half, and he made a close game. They almost won the game
Yeah.
actually. So again, when you're down that bad, I mean, you gonna see people don't gonna.
You're gonna get yards. You get
I hate when
touchdowns.
people compare that. Oh, we almost won the game. You got to understand when a team is up by like 30 points or 28 points, you
Hmm.
know that for a fact at the Super Bowl when Falcons blow up 30
Hmm.
to 28, the
Hmm.
team becomes relaxed.
Yeah.
Minnesota
Yeah.
was playing in Lambeau. They were
Yeah.
up so big.
Yeah.
Human
They
nature,
took the
right?
foot off the pedal for sure.
It's
Yeah.
his nature. Like you're gonna
Yeah.
relax. So obviously, Green Bay got their rhythm together and start like make a comeback, right? So
Hmm.
trust me, people are looking to the final score saying that we lost by 3. Only if we would have
Hmm.
done this or like my brother who's a huge Packer fan, right? Because if
Hmm.
they missed 2 field goals, we could have won that game. No, that's not
Yeah.
the way
Right.
it works.
Right.
That-
Exactly.
that's not the way
Exactly.
you're like I told my brother, you're forgetting the thing. The first half was a blowout,
Yeah.
and Minnesota relaxed.
And a lot of that was because Jordan Love was throwing to their team. He had three interceptions in the first
Exactly.
half. He had it. So if he didn't throw those, if it was a closer game, I understand you end it close. Like if it was 31-29, but it's competitive throughout, I was like, yeah, you know what, the Vikings barely skinned the game and they got out alive, you know. But it was not even close. I was watching that game. I was like, bro, like this is the Vikings are
Oh,
doing whatever they want. They're just like Sam Darnold out there like with a practice squad out there, just doing whatever he wants to against that
exactly.
defense. And then yeah, Jordan Love came alive at the end, but like that's desperation. You're gonna get easy yard because people are desperate and they want to just
It's
get the game over with,
it's kind of
and
like
they're,
last
they're
week.
running out the clock.
It's
Yeah,
kind of like last week when Cowboys played the Baltimore.
yeah,
Baltimore had the game done already in the first half.
yeah.
Cowboys made that run because Baltimore relaxed, and the game
Right,
and Cowboys ended up losing by one touchdown. Don't tell me the game was close. It was not a close game.
right. It was not close.
It's the human nature. It happens to every team.
Yeah,
When you're up that big, we're not supposed to. You're gonna relax, right?
yeah.
So again, I mean, Green Bay is good. Look, I still feel like Green Bay will make the playoffs, right? Because they have a good team out there. You know, their defense is clicking actually, and yesterday the defense didn't really come through for them. But like usually their defense been playing well. But again, Jordan Love healthy. Um, I mean, Detroit, Green Bay, Minnesota. There might be three teams coming out of that to make the playoff thing, most likely. The way it's looking like right
That I don't know about that, but yeah, the Packers. I mean, they have a couple of games coming up that should be winnable for them. I
now.
think they
Next
got the
week.
Rams next week, so
Look,
that should
again,
be
again,
it should be an easy
this
win.
is this is why Jordan Love needs to destroy the Rams.
Yeah.
I hate saying
He
that.
needs to destroy the Rams and the Cardinals. Otherwise, again, what we talked about is they should have waited. I don't think he maybe it's the history of the Packers, right? They had Favre for a very long time. They had Rodgers for a very so they're probably like, you know what? We find one guy. We're just gonna put all our money into him. We're gonna give him the long year, like a generational money. Stay with it forever. Like I think in this situation they may have jumped the gun just a bit. So they probably could have done waited a year and see like, hey, if he has a successful back-to-back year, like let's go. I think that's one of the reasons why I kind of agree with Jerry Jones and why he waited for Dak Prescott, because he's like, yeah, let me see, Dak, can you continue like to do something in
Yeah,
postseason? And Dak has ups and downs, but like he was waiting for that. He wants the consistency. Like, are you gonna give me the long term that I'm expecting? And people gave Jerry Jones a lot of hate for it. I agree with it because I always think that Dak Prescott was a little bit overrated, and he waited rightfully so. And yes, he got his money and well deserved, and he should have got his money. But I'm glad that he did wait. I think Jordan Love and the Packers should have waited at least this season, like you said, because they needed to see can he do a back to back. Otherwise, let's just give Malik Willis a chance. You never know.
and you know what? I'm about to say something that's gonna make people laugh, and probably it's not factual correct, but listen to this. Green Bay
Yeah.
reminds me of the Niners in the '90s, right? Like
Hmm.
you just alluded that they had Brett Favre for a long time. They had Aaron Rodgers for a long time, right? You
Hmm.
feel like Jordan Love's that next guy. This kind of reminds me
Yeah.
of the Niners of the '90s, right? When they had Joe Montana, right?
Hmm.
Then he passed the ball to Steve Young, who Joe Montana was
Right.
there for a long time. Then Steve Young
Hmm.
came along, was there for a long time. Do you remember who was after Steve Young? I think it was Jeff
Was it?
Garcia.
Yeah, Jeff Garcia. Oh
So
my
this
God.
reminds me of that kind of trend,
They,
Like you had
yeah,
Brett Favre, you had Rodgers, now you have
right.
Jordan Love, right? And Jeff Garcia was able to throw. He was actually a good QB, he was a solid QB,
He was
right?
decent.
But they're
Yeah,
but they're trying to anoint him as the next long term QB for the Niners. I don't know if you remember
right.
that back then.
They really tried. No, I remember that. They really tried to make him like the number one, the best guy. It was like he's
No,
not that good, guys. He's
exactly.
not
So I
that
feel like
good.
this is like a Jeff Garcia experiment because you had Brett Favre,
Right.
Rodgers, and now you have Jordan Love. Look, I'm gonna get hate for this, but I'm not. Look again, I'm not saying that Jordan Love is Jeff Garcia, but again, let's see. They're facing the Rams.
Oh,
They're facing the Rams. I think, like you said, they're facing the Cardinals. If Green Bay doesn't come off 2-0 on that side, I'll be
right.
shocked. They should not.
Yeah.
They shouldn't even go 1-1 because both of the
No,
teams are
they have to go 2-0 dominant.
both of the teams going nowhere.
Right.
The Rams are going back to the lottery. Same thing with Cardinals, back to the top 10 pick. They're going nowhere. So let's
Yeah.
see.
Let's see. I mean, Jordan Love's got to prove himself. I agree with you there. All right, so let's go into one last game from this week, which is the Commanders. And again, Jaden McDaniels absolutely torching the Cardinals. I came out of nowhere, but this kid looks really, really good. I'm actually I watched the game.
Yeah,
I would never say let me watch Commanders game, but I actually watched it and like he just looked he makes it look a lot easier, and I think he looks a lot better than Caleb Williams. So, what are your thoughts, man?
man.
Best team in
We
that
need to.
division too.
I mean, Arizona was favored, I think, and Commanders were going to
Yeah,
Arizona, obviously. So, like, uh, I mean, he had 233 yards for one touchdown. I mean, you're telling me going against,
but he's running like
I think Murray
crazy.
was the number one pick, right? If I'm not mistaken. So
Hmm.
you're going up against Callum Murray, right? I mean, he only had 142 with one touchdown, but then again, Daniels had 233 with one touchdown, and I mean, it was a blowout. Everyone showed up for them, right? I
Yeah,
mean, he made timely throws. He I don't know. He looks something happened last week in the Monday nighter against Cincinnati. Like something really happened to him for him. Like something
yeah,
turned around. He got that confident. He got that if
yeah.
factor. That, hey, I can do this. I belong here.
Got that swag.
Yeah, this is belong. He's like I can play with these guys. So it's scary, man. Like you said, it's pretty scary. They're
Yeah,
they're, they're leading the division now.
yeah,
Right now. So I mean that's crazy.
yeah.
So I mean,
Let's see.
wow.
Let's see. That division will be interesting down the stretch. And the Giants are not going to do anything. I am interested to see how the Cowboys and
Really?
the Eagles respond.
Oh man, that's
All
insane.
right, so let's go into our new thing. We're actually gonna be tracking our
Yep.
picks going forward. So let's go into next week. We're gonna make our picks. We'll see who had the best predictions. I'm sure we'll have some similarities in some picks, but let's go through one by one. All right, so first one we have the Buccaneers against the Falcons. Should be, I mean, this is a very important game for that division. Who you got, the Bucks or the Falcons?
Hold on, let me get my. Are you gonna note it or should I note it?
You know it. You go ahead and note it.
All right, all right, all right. You tell me who.
I have the Buccaneers winning this game. I think they're coming off. I think Baker Mayfield looks really good. The offense is clicking, and the Falcons. They're good and they're favored, but I do feel like the Buccaneers win this game. What do you think?
Is this a home game for Atlanta or a home game for Tampa?
Yeah, home game for Atlanta. Yeah,
I'm taking Atlanta, man. They've been surging right now, man. With Kirk Cousins, so
yeah.
I'm taking ATL right here, man.
So then we had the Vikings against the Jets. This is gonna be in London. No real home team.
Yeah,
The Vikings are favored 2.5. I'm actually going to be picking the Vikings for this too because I think
yeah.
the Jets still have a lot of work to do. The Vikings just look red hot. Aaron Jones is going to love seeing his former QB out there, and he's probably going to want to do it because he just did it to his old team, the Packers, this past weekend. He's going to love doing that to back to Rodgers too. So it'd be kind of cool to see.
I,
Who you
I
got?
agree with you. I take the Vikings too. I think the Jets are in the turmoil, man, with the coach
Yeah.
and the QB nine on the same page. So I pick the Vikes.
Yeah. All right, so then we got the Panthers and the Bears at Soldier Field in Chicago. We got the Bears are favored 3.5. I am actually going to be picking the Panthers here. I think Dalton's going to have a comeback, and I think that this is going to be the game that I think he's going to have a really good. Because I don't think the Chicago defense is that good.
Um,
Who you got?
since it's in
You got your
Chicago,
boy?
I'm going with Chicago. I do feel that they
Yeah,
found something last week against the Rams. Um, and I do feel Caleb feel a little comfortable. He's still not comfortable at all.
right.
Like
He still looks
it's funny,
nervous.
like Jaden Daniels is supposed to be Caleb. Like that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
Caleb's supposed to
yeah.
be more comfortable, and here
They switch spots.
Daniels is playing so comfortably. So, but no, I got the Chicago football, man.
You got Bears.
At
Okay,
home,
all right.
and I do feel like a little momentum has kind of shifted. So yeah.
Yeah. All right, so next up we got the Ravens against the Bengals. This is going to be in Cincinnati. The Ravens are favored 2.5. I am actually going to pick the Ravens here as well. I think the Bengals they had a good win last week, which was much needed. But I think again the Ravens they are going to have to go on a hot streak. They have found something in these last two games, and I think they're going to just completely blow out the Bengals at least by 10.
Well, it's October, right? So
Yeah,
Bengals, right? So they suck in September, right?
that's true.
It's a new month, man. But I think Ravens are playing just too hot right now, man. There's nothing slowing
Yeah,
them down right now. They beat Cowboys and then they beat Bills. Like like a blowout wins, like I don't see them slowing down. So I do pick the
Yeah,
Ravens.
I agree. All right. Next up, we got the Dolphins and the Patriots, two of the worst teams in the NFL. This is going to be in Foxborough. Miami is favored by 1 point, so again, should be a very non-competitive game. I will pick the Patriots here just because they're a home team. And I think the Dolphins are kind of in a free fall because they don't have a QB, a good QB that they can rely on. Patriots are still working on a few things, but I think their defense is still pretty legit. So I think the Patriots win this game.
Same thing, man. Hey, Pats all the way, man. Dude,
Yep.
I saw Miami today. They're just
Yeah, exactly. After today, you're like, yeah, no way.
there's no. They better go get someone because
Yeah,
today they had Tyrod Taylor. No, it was Tyrod Taylor. Some other guy. I forgot the rookie that played today. It's horrible. They can't make any
yeah,
connections.
yeah.
Like I feel bad for everyone who has Tyreek Hills in their fantasy team.
I know, man. Poor guy.
He was third
He's already had a
in
rough
the
season.
fantasy like team, man. Like him and McCaffrey, I'd be disappointed for both. Who are
Yeah,
them.
all right. Next up, we got the Browns and Commanders. This is going to be at Northwest Stadium, so the Commanders are favored by 3. I will actually also pick the Commanders again. I think Jaden Daniels is on to something. The kid's getting hot. The Browns, their defense was something they can rely on, but even that's not turning out to be true. Deshaun Watson, who the hell knows what's happening with him? So I will pick the Commanders here, which again I would have never done. I actually thought the Browns were going to be pretty good this going into preseason,
Well,
but they don't look good at all.
I agree too, man. But Commanders, man, just like the Ravens, they're on a hot streak right now. And
Yeah,
Cleveland,
it's crazy.
Cleveland just hasn't been Cleveland. Like I mean, with Watson, I mean they won, but still, I mean I don't know, man. They don't look the same anymore, you know. So
Yeah,
I think Commanders got it. They're on a hot streak. They'll win that one too.
yeah. All right, so then we got the Colts and the Jaguars. It's going to be in Jacksonville. The Jags are favored by 3, even though they're 0 and 4. The Colts they are missing their quarterback and what's his name? I forgot. Richardson. Anthony Richardson
Yeah,
is injured, so it'll be Joe Flacco again. I do think the Jaguars will need to win this game, and I think this is the game they will win. Especially since it's Flacco as backup QB. Nothing is Flacco again. He should probably go back to the Browns and kill it there, but I think the Jaguars do need to win this game. Otherwise, Trevor Lawrence is in a lot of trouble. What do you think?
I have Indianapolis. No, I mean, that's man. Flacco.
You have Indianapolis?
You can't do anything. You can't. I mean, Jags are Jags, man. Doug McPherson.
They need this game though.
Trevor Lawrence, man. He's not good, man. I'm sorry. You know? I know he needs it, but
Yeah.
I do think Indiana will win this one. Man. Colts will win this. So
Yeah. All right. Well, I got for next up we have the Bills and the Texans. For me, this is probably going to be the game of the week because you have Josh Allen going against Stephon Diggs. Again, I said and I predicted that the Bills would be better because it's addition by subtraction. And even though the Texans are 3-1, I still do believe that the Bills are a better team. I think the Bills win this game, even though Houston is favored by 1.5 points, and this is in Houston. But I do think the Bills win this game. Who you think? Who you got?
Bills, man. I agree with you. I think Houston.
Yeah.
I think Straw's gonna. I think he's gonna force it to Diggs.
Yeah.
And that's their offense is gonna be Ray little bit, to be honest.
He's gonna go through what Josh Allen had to go through all these years. Like, all right, you better give me the ball, motherfucker.
This is a former team, so they're all like, "Oh, we have to give the ball to Diggs." You know, we have to give the ball to Diggs.
And you know, Diggs is gonna want that too, right? You know, because he was so unhappy, he's gonna be like, "You better give me the ball."
Exactly. So I agree with you, man. Bills. I choose Bills too.
All right, so we got another game again. Two pretty bad teams. We got the Raiders and Broncos. This is going to be in Denver, and the Broncos are favored by 3. I do think the Raiders win this game just because I know Antonio Pierce had a really interesting this past weekend, but I do feel like the Raiders win this game just for pride. I think.
Yeah, man. Something about Broncos.
You think so? Back-to-back wins for them?
Back-to-back, man. Something about Broncos, man.
Oof.
It's at home. Raiders are just. I don't know what Raiders will show up. To be honest with you, to be honest, so I got Broncos.
Yeah, let's see. All right, so next we got the Cardinals against the 49ers. This is in Levi Stadium in Santa Clara. So we got the 49ers are favored 7.5 points. Um, I am gonna pick the 49ers here. I mean, this is a gimme, honestly. There's no shot that the Cardinals have any point in this game.
I agree too, man. I picked the Niners.
All right. Next up, we got your team. We got the Rams and the Packers. This is gonna be in SoFi, so again, there'll probably be more Packers fans than there are Rams fans in the stadium.
100%.
I personally do think the Rams will win this game, just because I think Sean McVay he's a coach that does not is not going to be used to losing. He's a really good coach. I think he's one of the best coaches in the league. So he's going to make sure his team is competitive out there. I think Matt Stafford is still a good quarterback. Jordan Love is, again, Packers fan will say he's still a little injured. So he's still rusty from missing 2 weeks. I think the Rams win this game, though.
Man, I have the Rams too, man. Upset here, the big
Yeah,
upset.
yeah.
Rams upsetting Packers here. There's no way I was going to choose Packers in this game. I still think that it's in SoFi at home. Even though it's going to be the Niner game all over again. It's going to be Packers fans everywhere, And I do feel that Rams. It'll be a competitive game, and
Yeah.
I think Rams will pull it out.
All right. So next we got the Giants against the Seahawks. This is going to be in Seattle. Seahawks are favored 6.5 points. Again, I think this is going to be pretty easy. Seahawks should win this. The Giants are not very competitive. Daniel Jones is, I mean, I don't know what he's doing out there, honestly. He looks good one week. He looks really good. He's sharp, good, making good decisions. Another week, he's just completely lost in the offense. So I think the Seahawks win this game pretty easily.
I agree too, man. Seahawks. Everything you alluded to, man. That's how I feel as well too, man.
Yeah.
I don't trust Daniel Jones at all.
All right, so next we got Sunday Night Football, which is Cowboys against the Steelers, and this is going to be in Pittsburgh. The Steelers are favored 2.5 point, which is surprising. I do think the Steelers win this game. I'm sorry, I know you're a Cowboys fan, but I think the Steelers win this game.
I agree, man. I'm picking against the Cowboys here, but I do agree with you.
Really?
Yeah, it's in Pittsburgh, and they're gonna make it. They're gonna make it scrappy, ugly kind of
Yeah.
game, and that's the game that wins
Physical.
face.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be,
Yeah.
what Jack Prescott and Cowboys love like playing, and it's outdoor.
Right.
You're telling me in October in Pittsburgh it's chilly. It's not
Yeah.
comfortable. It's not a dome,
Yeah.
So I give the Nazi Steelers.
All right. So then Monday Night Football next week, we got the Saints against the Chiefs. This is going to be in Kansas City, and the Chiefs are favored by 5 points. I have the Saints in this one. I think unless if they make a huge signing, losing their best receiver, honestly the biggest playmaker in Rashee Rice, Kelsey is gonna get into the offense probably a lot more. But I think the Saints' offense is just so high powered. They have a good O line. Kamara can run the ball like no other. I think that it's the Saints win this game.
So only an undefeated team will be next week is going to be the Minnesota Vikings. So I'm picking the Saints as well.
All right, there you go. There you go.
All
right, man.
That's lost, man. That's what happened.
It should be exciting. Again, the last time we did something like this where we said, "Oh, easy game, easy game." There's a bunch of upsets everywhere. So again, hoping for a really good competitive games. Not some easy ones, but should be a good week nonetheless next week. Let's get into baseball, man. So we just wrapped up the regular season, right?
Well, yeah. So yesterday was the last game of the regular season, and today there was a what do you call I think there's 2 games that had to be played for Atlanta and Mets because of the storm back in the East, and so they had to make those games up. So the way it worked was there were still 3 teams for 2 playoff spots. It was Atlanta, Mets, and the D-backs. So the way it worked is that Atlanta and Mets played doubleheader today. So the way D-backs can make the playoffs is if one of the teams swept today another team. If Atlanta won twice today in the doubleheader, D-backs make it. Mets won it twice, D-backs make it. That's the only way D-backs were going to make it. So they couldn't split. And the only way the only way that the Mets and the Braves will make it is if they split, and that's what ended up happening.
That's what happened.
Both split, and they both made the playoffs, basically. So D-backs were officially eliminated today, and so the first game was won by Mets. It was a crazy game. I mean, Braves had to control the whole game until the 8th inning, and or 7th or 8th inning, and then Mets came out and scored 6 runs, and then went back and forth. But Mets ended up winning the first game, and then the second game, Braves ended up winning it, so they both made the playoffs. And so now the playoff bracket is set. So So now we have. Let's go with. Let's quickly go through the NL. I mean AL. Sorry.
Yeah,
AL. So right now we have. It's gonna be. I think the way it works is a best of three series. You know, the first team wins
right.
two games. So for the AL, we have Baltimore and KC,
Yeah,
right? And so whoever wins that will play the New York Yankees, and then you
yeah.
have Houston and Detroit will face Cleveland because they're the number two seed. So who you got in Baltimore versus KC, man?
I got the Royals. I honestly they were doing really well, and they had just a huge slip at the end.
Yeah.
I think they get back to where they need to go, and again against the Yankees, they have no shot. But against the Orioles, I do have the Royals winning this one. It's
Royals,
it's,
yeah,
it's best out of three.
Royal kind of caught on fire, man. So I do pick the Royals
Yeah.
as well too, man. And then you got Houston and Detroit, man. I'm surprised I'm watching Detroit make the playoffs. I'm in a while, to be honest. But you have Houston and
Hey
Detroit,
man.
man. So I got Houston in this one, man, to face
Yeah,
Cleveland.
I got Houston too.
Yeah.
I got
All right,
Houston.
and then we have the NL side. We have San Diego and Atlanta. And so I got Atlanta. Coming out of that.
You do? Oh,
Yeah. So who you got?
I got San Diego. They're pretty good this year,
Yeah.
record wise at least.
So they'll face the Dodgers. Whoever wins
Yeah,
out of that two games. Then you have Milwaukee and the
the
Mets.
Mets. I think the Mets.
Yeah, me
They,
too.
there's a spark coming there. They're on a roll.
So let's see how it goes. We'll find out by next Monday the playoffs bracket.
Do you have the Mets too, or do you have the Brewers?
No, no, no. I got the Mets.
Oh, yeah.
I got the Mets. I'm surprised Mets even made the playoffs after what happened last year and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And like,
That's why they're hungry.
yeah,
I feel like they're and they had a good surge at the end. So I got the Mets.
yeah, I got the Mets as well too. So we'll find out the playoff bracket. Well, we'll update the playoff bracket. When it actually becomes a regular postseason. This is just like getting in and playing best
Yeah.
of three and kind of going through. So playoff starts tomorrow, man. First game for baseball. So
Ooh,
crazy.
can't wait, man.
Exactly.
This again, this I don't watch much baseball. I follow it as far as watching the highlights and on ESPN and all that kind of stuff. I don't watch every single game,
Yeah.
but when it's playoff time, I actually will sit down and watch the entire game because it is so much more fun, so much more energetic.
I tell everyone, out of all the four North American sports, I'm talking about the football, basketball, hockey, and baseball. I do consider baseball playoff the best season ever.
Yeah.
Because you know why? It's unpredictable. You don't know who's gonna win that series and who's gonna come out and win the whole thing. Because
Hmm.
it's not like football where if you're the best QB, that can actually win you the game, and win you the whole Super Bowl, right? Same thing with basketball. If you have the two best players, they're gonna win that. So same thing with hockey.
Hmm.
If you have a really good goalie and a good midfielder, you're good to go. Baseball is not by one player.
Yeah.
If your pitching staff is like on fire, you're gonna and you got the momentum, it's gonna go through, man. So I like baseball
Yeah.
playoff, man. That's the best playoff ever.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
man.
know, and honestly, Shohei, he got 59 steals. He ended 59 with 59. So I mean, imagine 60-60, man. If one more, like I said, one more week, we could have gotten a
Could've got it.
60-60, which would be
We
crazy.
could have got it. Could have got it. I do want to end off with the big blockbuster trade last
Yeah,
week.
yeah, with NBA.
I want to.
So we got
I want to hear your take on it, man. This came out of nowhere on a Thursday.
Yep.
It was a Thursday night or Wednesday night, when it was that
Yeah.
Minnesota made a trade with New York, sending Carl Anthony Towns to New York, and New York
Mhm.
sending Julius Randle and Da Vinci to and a first round pick in exchange.
Yeah.
So Carl Cat going to New York, man. I mean, what is your take? Who won the trade, and what do you think?
My personal opinion is I think New York won the trade. Only because I know you had the Villanova boys and losing DiVincenzo is obviously going to be a big hurt in terms of chemistry for them. But I was just not a fan of Julius Randle. I think the guy just gives us on his team too much.
Yeah.
He just stops playing. He's just like, oh, whatever. I don't get the ball. I'm not the main guy anymore. I don't care. And he's just not. He's a chemistry killer. And so I think the fact that they got rid of him, they think they want to get rid of him and brought someone like Cat, who, granted, he's a little. I always kind of thought he was a little soft. He has a lot of potential to be good, but he's also very coachable too. So hopefully, the coach over there could really mold him, and I think that coach could. But I honestly think there's a good trade for New York. I know a lot of New York fans were upset about this. I'm not sure why, because you actually did again got rid of someone who just kind of gave up on the team so much, especially in the last two playoffs.
I completely
Were
agree with
you?
you, man. I think New York won this trade.
Yeah,
I did feel that Randall didn't really fit that offensive scheme.
yeah,
He because Julius Randle, I don't know why he thinks he can handle the ball, which he can't. He wants to be a
yeah. No,
he always wants to do that dribble, 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 right? But
yeah.
and we all know Bergson is the point guard of that team, right? But Julius Randle always wants to do that,
Hmm.
right? This is going to be a killer for Minnesota, man, killer. What I
Yeah,
mean by that is that you're gonna have Randall, who's not a consistent outside shooter, and you're gonna pair him up
right.
with Gobert, who's also not a consistent outside shooter as well. So I can foresee Nas restarting in the like
Hmm.
when he matters the most because Nasri can shoot the threes. You got to spread the floor. I was surprised that Minnesota ever made this deal to send Cat out because Cat can actually spread the floor. Because you got to
Yeah.
understand, Rudy Gobert can't shoot from outside, and Cat actually spread the floor for them. And he was actually becoming
Yeah,
a threat. And so
but Cat has the same issue that Embiid has, which is like he's not a good outside shooter. I mean, he can spread the floor, he can shoot the three, but he's not a good shooter that should consistently be out there, right? Like he's better off in the post, and he was he did do that a little bit in the playoffs, but that's the thing with Embiid that frustrates me is that like dude, you can score 50 a game if you just stay inside, but he wants to keep shooting the pretty 3-point shots all the time,
yeah,
and that's what gets him in trouble. And I think that's why one of the things that Anthony Edwards, I think a lot of this has to do with Anthony Edwards not being a big fan of Cat, like
exactly.
Cat not taking the game seriously, and Anthony Edwards has that really like hardcore mentality, like he wants to work hard. He doesn't want he doesn't want like a Shaq like the early Shaq that Kobe had, which frustrated Kobe is that Shaq just have fun. He do all these like fun things, but he wouldn't actually put his time into the game. And you have Cat who's like streaming Call of Duty during the off season, and then Cat's like, dude, we should be putting in the work. We should be doing more. And I mean that just makes him really upset. So I think a lot of that could just be calling him down and being like, bro, I'm not calling him down. Sorry, Anthony Edwards being like, get this guy out of here. Like we need somebody else. And one thing I don't understand, which you said, I don't understand why you bring Julius Randle of all people in because I don't think he's gonna help you. DiVincenzo could help you, but not Julius Randle. That he's gonna kill that team too.
He's gonna just do what he did in New York: dribble, dribble, dribble,
Yeah,
and shoot those.
and you can't have him come off the bench.
So I do feel either Gobert or Randall's going to be coming off the bench after a while because they can't have both of them start and both of them cannot shoot and Nasri
Right.
can shoot. So I don't know how they're going to do this, but I do.
Yeah.
I mean, this trade obviously New York won. I mean, they got a bona fide big man. Definitely a down low player. I mean, who can actually command presence. So I do like this
Right.
lineup from New York, man. And this just
Yeah.
kind of went from being that first and second round team. New York became a contender with this trade, in my
Yeah.
view.
I agree.
They're going to challenge Boston and Philly because I think those are the three teams that are
Hmm.
coming out. Milwaukee, I
Hmm.
don't know what the hell they're doing because Giannis just came out with a quote. I don't know if you heard in the media day or when he came out with the quote that me and Damian Lillard don't. We're not on the same page because we haven't played at all this summer, dude.
Mm.
This is a summer you're supposed to kind of get with each other and like get comfortable. It's like, yeah, we don't have that chemistry. Like, why would you even say
Yeah.
that? Like, what's wrong with you? So it's like,
Yeah. The Bucks, their coach is Doc Rivers, who's highly overrated.
yeah,
I've never been a big fan of him. So they're not gonna do well. He can't. I mean, he got lucky with having three Hall of Famers in one team one time,
and
and
they
they won
won.
one
Yeah.
championship out of that. And after that, he's just
And
been
that was more players than
whatever.
the coach. The players want
Yeah.
more
Exactly.
than the coach. And
Yeah.
you have Kevin Garnett, who was hungry
Yeah.
for coach.
Yeah, I was surprised that the Minnesota made this trade because again, they were only one game out of first place in the conference last year,
Yes,
and the fact that they made this huge trade, just trading their second best player for a role players,
I
honestly,
agree,
which
man.
is kind of surprising, honestly. So unless they have some other move up their sleeve, this was a huge negative for the Wolves.
I think Minnesota is gonna struggle, to be honest, and
Yeah,
they're not gonna be the same juggernaut they were last year, man. I'll be surprised if they are. So But yeah, that was a
Yeah,
big.
and I know, and as you as a Laker fan, be like, oh, that means Anthony Edwards gonna come to the Lakers now because he's gonna be so unhappy, right? Is that gonna be your next big rumor?
Oh, he's not.
Yeah, one quick thing about the Lakers is that I will say is I was watching some of the preseason press conferences and I already hated this whole Bronny LeBron thing. Oh my God, dude, it's just so cringe. I love LeBron. Okay, don't get me wrong, great player. But they're really leaning into this whole thing, and it's annoying the shit out of me because it's not about oh what the Lakers gonna do. It's about oh hey Bronny, did you and Dad have a good practice? Like come on man, like we are way better than this. I hate this. This is as a Lakers fan, this is the most frustrating thing in the world.
I listened to the media, the whole media today, with Lakers media day, actually, and I do
Yeah.
agree with you. It was a little cringy there.
Come on, man. This cannot happen, dude.
They got
We'll see. Hopefully they finally get their first basket, whatever, an assist from LeBron to Bronny, and then hopefully after that we take it seriously. But this media day was pissing me off so much as a Laker fan.
yeah. I hope that's the whole story of the season, man. Honestly, LeBron and
Yeah.
Bronny. Hopefully, Bronny just stays in the G League and kind of delve his game a little more.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, Bronny shouldn't even be playing this year. He should be more in the
Right.
G League and just kind of getting his game up to par. Like
Yep.
maybe next year, he can have some type of contribution, but this year he shouldn't. But hopefully,
Yeah.
he just stays out of the Lakers locker room and like let Lakers.
You know LeBron is not gonna let that happen. You know he's not.
Yeah.
He'll be like, I'm gonna just sit out the whole season if you don't put my kid in there.
I already know.
You know he's
I
gonna
already, I
be.
already know the first game that Bronny's gonna be rotation. I already know this. The first game against
Which one? Which
the
one?
Timberwolves, JJ Redick's gonna put fucking Bronny in, dude.
Yeah, there you go.
God damn it.
Here we go, man. Here we go. Here's the
The
joke of
circus
the
all over
season.
again, man. That's
Oh
all we made
man.
of, man. La La Land.
All right, but it should be fun though, man. Again, the baseball playoffs are starting.
Yep.
We got preseason for Lakers. I mean, not Lakers, NBA in general.
Yeah.
Huge trade to kind of shake everything up in the East and the West. And then we got a bunch of great games coming up in the NFL this next season. Sorry, next weekend. So it should be a lot of fun, man. Can't wait.
I can't wait till the results of our picks of next week.
Yeah,
We had 14
yeah.
picks. That's about it. So that hopefully we're not tied on 2-2. So let's see how it goes. I'm excited.
We'll see which brown ball is the better NFL savant.
Hey,
How
man,
about that? We'll
I have it
see.
right here. Let's see. I mean, we only
Yeah.
got 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's it. We only have 4 games that we kind of went against each other's
Hmm.
pick. If it's tied, we got to do rock paper scissors during the next brown ball podcast. So who gets?
Yeah, and at the end of the season, we should have like a see who had the best record, right? And then we should have something for the loser, like some kind of
Yeah.
punishment for the loser for being not the best
We're going
picker,
to.
not, the worst brown baller there.
Exact worst brown. I agree.
I like that.
I love that. Actually, I love the idea. Definitely.
All right, cool.
But it was great.
All right, guys. Well, thank you again for joining us this week. Again, we have a lot of crazy stuff happening this weekend. Definitely check out all the sports. We're going to be posting all these clips on TikTok, IG, everywhere you guys get your stuff. Podcast, you see the full thing on YouTube, full thing on Spotify, everywhere you get your podcast. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know if you have anything that you find controversial. I know Kenil always gets his hate about the Packers, and I love it. And I always get my hate about Phillies, and I love that too. So cannot wait. We will see you guys next week.
Hell yeah. Let's go, baby.
Yeah, there you go.
Take care, bro.